Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're embarking on a real choose-your-own-adventure-style look at the profound history preserved inside the Trans-Allegheny Lunatic Asylum. We're going to dive right into the incredible variety of heritage and history tours this facility actually offers. So let's get into it.
You really have to consider just how much of our medical history is hidden behind asylum doors. It's deep, it's complex, and honestly, it's sometimes pretty dark. Waiting for us in Weston, West Virginia, the Trans-Allegheny Lunatic Asylum isn't just some old building. It is literally a massive physical record of exactly how society has treated its most vulnerable over the decades.
So here's our roadmap for today. First, we'll look at the asylum as a monument to medical history. Then, short walks through the past. Third, exploring the forensics building. Fourth, immersive and custom experiences. And finally, unrestricted specialty access.
All right, let's start right in on Section 1, a monument to medical history setting the scene.
The core philosophy behind this asylum's creation is absolutely fascinating. You've got the Kirkbride theory. Now, this wasn't just about designing a pretty building, right? It was this nationwide philosophy that the architecture itself, specifically maximizing natural light and fresh airflow, could actually act as a medical treatment to cure mental illness. It really set this incredibly optimistic backdrop for the heavy history that followed inside those walls.
And stepping inside? Well, it's like walking into a massive historical timeline. You're going to explore what treatment for the mentally ill looked like before state-run facilities even existed. Plus, you get to see how huge global events deeply impacted the specific hospital in West Virginia. We're talking the Civil War affecting its early construction, right through to the massive socioeconomic shifts brought on by both World Wars and the Great Depression. It all drastically influenced how the hospital operated and what patient life was like. But that sweeping architectural beauty we just talked about? It often stood in really sharp contrast to the medical realities of the time. These historic tours are totally objective. They explore the visceral, intense medical procedures used over the years. We're talking lobotomies, insulin shock therapy, and hydrotherapy. The crucial takeaway here is that they do not shy away from the intense reality of historic psychiatric care. They just lay out the facts so we can truly understand the evolution of healthcare. Moving on to Section 2, short walks through the past, the 45-minute dives. So for just $15, you're faced with a pretty fascinating choice right at the front door. Do you take the first floor south tour or the north tour? On the south side, you step into beautifully restored patient wards and get a deep dive into the Civil War's impact on West Virginia. But if you choose the north tour, you're looking at a much grittier reality. It features unrestored maximum security areas, the patient art therapy wing, and digs into the highly controversial contributions of Dr. Walter Freeman. It's basically a choice between restored architectural beauty and raw, unrestored history.
Next up, Section 3, exploring the forensics building, the criminally insane tour.
I want you to imagine walking right into the forensics building. This was the specific home for the criminally insane. This particular tour lets you literally step into that space to unravel the incredibly complex, intense admissions process that dictated exactly who was sent here. It gives you this deeply immersive look at a very specific and obviously highly guarded intersection of the criminal justice and psychiatric systems of the past. And the historical climax of this specific 45-minute tour, it's uncovering the gritty details of a major historic riot. The guides provide some really unique insights into this event, which honestly was so significant that it ultimately brought an end to the facility as it was known at the time. It's just a powerful piece of institutional history, and they deliver it with a really objective focus on exactly what went down during those final days.
All right, into Section 4, immersive and custom experiences, the 90-minute options.
Now, if you're wanting a deeper dive, you've got two distinct options here. For $30, the All Floors Tour is, well, exactly what it sounds like. It's a fixed 90-minute comprehensive walk through the entire main building, from the bottom to the top, plus the first floor of the medical center. But for $40, the VIP tour offers a completely custom route, though only on Wednesdays and Saturdays. There's no standard script for that one. An experienced guide interactively follows the group's own interests through the Kirkbride building, answering your specific questions about history, architecture, or treatments as you go. It's a real game changer if you want to drive the conversation.
And finally, Section 5, unrestricted specialty access, the ultimate explorations. First up in this tier is the photography tour, and wow, the scale of access here is absolutely massive. You get into the Kirkbride interiors, the medical center, the geriatric building, the women's auxiliary building, and literally all the grounds.
You can choose to explore for 4 hours in the morning, 4 hours in the afternoon, or go all out and do a full 8 hours for $150. Now keep in mind, this is semi-guided with no historical information provided by the staff. It is purely about giving you the unrestricted space to capture the visual history yourself.
There is, however, one very strict rule for you photographers out there. No audio or video recording is permitted for commercial use. 0 exceptions. The facility makes it super clear that this tour is absolutely not a substitute for an official filming agreement, which would require a completely separate, negotiated contract.
6 hours. That is the grueling duration of the absolute ultimate experience they offer. The Discover the Asylum Tour. This $150 deep dive is so expansive that it's actually only offered on Mondays. Why? Because they literally have to close the entire asylum to the general public just to give your group that kind of unrestricted access.
And because you're out there exploring for 6 straight hours, the facility issues a pretty direct warning. This requires a fair amount of physical exertion. You're going to be walking long distances, climbing a lot of stairs, so comfortable shoes and water are a total must. They do, though, offer a $10 optional box lunch that gets delivered right to you during your break, which is a really nice touch, especially since the proceeds from that lunch directly benefit local senior assistance programs.
So what exactly are you exerting yourself for? Well, this 6-hour tour truly covers the whole shebang. You get all 4 floors of the main building, the oldest Civil War-era structures, the medical center, the criminally insane unit, and the women's auxiliary building. You get the history, the treatments, the architecture, all led by their absolute most seasoned guides. It is for sure the definitive deep dive into the facility's legacy.
Places like the Trans-Allegheny Lunatic Asylum offer us a really rare, unfiltered look straight into the past. By walking these halls, choosing these tours, and stepping directly into the unrestored, gritty reality of past medical practices, we're kind of forced to reflect. Does engaging with this dark history change how we view the medical advancements that we rely on today? It's an incredibly fascinating question to ponder, and just an amazing history to explore. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and keep learning.